All right, welcome into this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. Corey Moen, Evan Byrne. Evan, how we doing?
Doing well. Getting closer and closer to basketball.
Closer and closer to basketball. Got that right, my man. So, we're just gonna do one topic today, and it's gonna be the reaction to Giannis Antetokounmpo's basically tell all for the New York Times. He delved into a lot of things. He talked about his newfound business aspirations.
Yep.
He talked about his future with the Bucks. He talked about he once again touched on 2020. Basically his life as it is right now. I guess his newfound fame in Greece.
Mm-hmm.
So, am I missing anything that was kind of touched on in that article?
No, I think you got the main ideas. He's been talking about a lot of new things that he wants to do with just him and his brothers, but his idea of his persona in Greece. But yeah, I think you got them all from what I got from it.
Yeah. So we basically we touch on all the main stuff. So actually what I'm going to do right now is me and Evan have read the article, but we're actually just going to share it so that we can kind of react to like the main points of the article. So we're just going to go ahead and share that right now. Yeah. There we go. Just got to scroll that up. All right. Not down there. And I guess at the start of the article, he was talking about how he's basically been mentoring Alex, who's about 7 years older than he is.
Yep.
So that's kind of fun. All right, best player.
Yeah, after going through it, I think one of the big things that I took note of it, which I kind of forgot about until I knew about the story, but I kind of forgot about it until I reread it. But the bubble year, in 2020, talks about like how he almost left basketball, like in general, for like mental health issues, and then kind of like wanting to take care of his family and happiness again, because obviously that's not like the most happy times for anyone in the entire world. But I forgot about that. But kind of talks about wanting to win again and trying to continue to do it, not just be like a one and done. I think that's kind of the main thing, and it's totally an understandable thing because you win one as a fan. It's like, cool, I saw my one. Hopefully they can win more, but I don't want to be too greedy. But when you're a player and this is what you do and you're competing to win, you obviously want to do it more than once. Now, as a fan, I also want to see more than one, but as a Wisconsin fan of the different sports, you hope to see one, and that's hopefully what you're going to get. And we can't be too greedy, but talks about injuries and losing the first round this past year, and obviously having the new coach. Not sure, but it's scary. But it's a scary thought, like when you sent me that article, because I didn't see that yet. But I think he's in a position where it wouldn't be ideal to leave. But again, you don't know.
Yeah. So obviously right away, the first point that everybody's kind of hung up on is this line right here, where it says in a few weeks he will be eligible for a 3-year extension worth about $173 million. But doesn't plan to sign one just yet. And then this is kind of the quote that everyone's talking about is the real question is not going to be this year, numbers wise. It doesn't make sense. Antetokounmpo said next summer, it would make more sense for both parties. Even then, I don't know. So first of all, I'm not like, I understand that, all summer, kind of getting this for Brian Windhorst was, oh my God, this is a huge summer for the Bucks. Like Giannis, like it's a huge number to see if he signs, but it was one of those things where I think athletes nowadays are a lot smarter with that stuff. Where I think they're advised a lot of times to be like, just wait, let's see how the season turns out. You know,
Yep.
there's a lot of unknowns here. You know, you got a new coach. And I really think that's what Giannis is kind of hung up on is, you know, I understand I kind of helped pick the coach, but, you know, we got to see how our relationship is. Like, I'm not just going to sign and then I dive headfirst in with Adrian Griffin. And I'm like, God, you know, I don't like him as our coach. And the other thing too is, you know, Milwaukee just lost in 5 games. Okay. And, you know, John Horst is trying to build a championship contending team around Giannis. So, you know, I think Giannis should have some trepidation to be like, look, we just lost in 5 games to an 8 seed. Okay. Now, this wasn't like, unlike any other 8 seed. This was probably one of the greatest 8 seeds in NBA history. But still, you got blown off the floor, or just, you know, not blown off the floor, but you know, you lost in 5. You can't lose in 5 games to an 8 seed as a 1 seed. You can't. So I think Giannis is like, God, do I have like a good enough team around me to be like, we gotta like compete. We gotta, you know, we gotta keep going for championships here.
Yeah, and I see it as, or I don't know if it's like how I'm seeing it, but would you think that he would just retire? Or do you think he would sign to a different team? It makes it almost seem like he like wants to do more than just basketball now. Because like me personally, I don't see him playing on a different team just based off of like how he has made like not his persona, but like his mentality about like the sport itself, where he'd want to be or not. So I don't know. It's a weird thought and it's scary.
I've honestly said that it would not surprise me in the slightest if he retired early. I just think that, you know, okay, he talks about like he brings up like Kobe Bryant and like Dirk Nowitzki and all those guys.
Yep, I'm looking at that part right here.
Like he wants to spend his goal is to spend 20 plus years with the Bucks if they could stay competitive. If he gets himself in like a Kobe Bryant situation where like it's towards the end of his career, the Bucks are not very good. I could see where he's like, I'm going to retire.
Yes, and I can totally stand behind that. Where it's like Kobe Bryant playing with Julius Randle and all those guys in his early career, like they didn't stand a chance. He's played 20 years. It makes sense to retire. Could have even retired maybe a year or 2 prior. But yeah, I was looking at that part. There's a part kind of near like the middle of the article itself. It says he paused briefly before continuing. There'll never be hard feelings with the Milwaukee Bucks. He said, I believe that we've had 10 unbelievable years. There's no doubt I gave my everything to the city, everything, every single night, even when I'm hurt. I'm a Milwaukee Buck. I bleed green. I know this. Talks about like being his forever team, and then how you mentioned like Dirk and Kobe and Tim Duncan, 20 plus years. But it makes sense that it's like the Bucks aren't putting them in a situation to be losers or like to not be competitive. I shouldn't say losers because everyone's trying to compete, but not sellers, I should say. Like they're always going to be competing for a 1 to 3 seed. They're always going to be running for a championship. So it's not like they're the Angels in baseball where you have 2 of the greatest players to ever play the game and you're not doing anything. They're not in that situation, but it's always if you don't win this year, what happens, you know? And it's always one of those ideas of, is he going to stay? Is he going to leave? Or is he going to be done with basketball to be with his kids? Because he's having another kid soon, I think. So who knows? A little scary. I'd rather have him just like retire than go to a different team. But I also don't want him to retire just in general because we need him.
And look, it's not even just a window for Giannis too. Like Drew Holiday has talked about, you know, becoming more involved with his foundation. about how he's not going to sign another contract in Milwaukee, that after his contract's up, he's probably just going to retire.
Yep.
So really, everybody's in a window here. Okay. Giannis, Chris, and Drew. And I mean, if you want to throw Brooke in there, fine. But everybody's in like a short window to be like, we got to win right now. Like, we don't have like a lot of assets to be like, oh, well, you know, after like those 4 leave, then we got like, you know, young players coming up the wazoo. We don't have that. So this team is like ready to win now. And, you know, without those 4, I don't see how they would accomplish that.
Yeah, it would be like a 10 seed max if you lose those guys, which is, again, it's sports. You have the time. We got the 1, but it was these last 5 seasons. I was hoping they could win at least like 3 times. And I think that was their goal too, to try to 2-peat. Realistically, could have 3-peated from 2021 to 23 if they didn't have injuries, some guys out, new guys in, and some of the teams that they unfortunately lost to. But it's the do or die, win now and hope that things kind of go up from there. But obviously with age obviously Giannis isn't old, but age for some of the other guys like Brooke and Drew. Chris, you can kind of say too, age-wise, but more injury-wise for him. But yeah, it's going to have to hopefully win or make it to the finals at least this year.
Yeah, and that will be a challenge with the new coach. I think we all realize that is, and I don't even know if Giannis is like in how big of a window he's in right now, because again, it's going to be that those are high expectations that Adrian Griffin is kind of walking into.
Yep.
Where it's like, you know, he's a brand new coach. Okay. And all of a sudden he walks into a situation where this team is going to be expected to win every year. And not just win regular season games, but they're expected to go to the postseason and they're expected to win. And if it doesn't happen, like, then Giannis's timeline, I feel like, just kind of shortens.
Yeah, and I feel like the plus out of having Adrian Griffin is obviously he's a first-year head coach. Kind of like Darvin Ham's situation. You've been assistant coach. You've been the assistant coach for a championship team. So there's like things that you know that kind of like transfer over to being a head coach. Now, obviously, it's a whole different world being a head coach compared to an assistant coach. But I'm hoping he kind of understands that idea of they're going to be winning most likely, or contending to win. So I'm hoping there's a little idea about him knowing what's competing. Obviously, he knows the situation of a bunch of these players going into the season. I think after watching a lot of his interviews, if you don't watch the Bucks All Access on YouTube, I highly recommend watching that. They're so interesting. He goes over the Summer League and their latest one, and the new rookies. So I'm hoping he puts the pieces together correctly and kind of makes his way to where the Bucks know they should be this year.
Yeah, and kind of going back to the article for a sec, obviously, you know, people kind of forget about the Greece story about how if the Bucks didn't bring his family over from Greece, that he was probably going to go back to Greece and just leave the NBA, basically.
Yeah.
You know, it talks about, you know, the relationship between, you know, the brothers, about how they're like just each other's everything. Each other's like best friends and stuff like that. The 2020 thing, I think that was something we had commented on in a previous podcast that that he seriously contemplating like just leaving basketball, which I could understand from his perspective, because the bubble wasn't an easy situation for anybody. Okay. Being away from your family for like that long period of time, and just being in like a
confined area
that's
for a
what I was
long
gonna
amount of
say,
time.
yeah.
It's almost like it wasn't even needed. Like, we obviously wanted basketball to play, but when you read about like how like screwed up a lot of, not necessarily screwed up, but like how unstable a lot of these guys were, especially being away from family. Now, obviously, Giannis at Thanasis, but it's still different from like his girlfriend and his kids at the time, especially for all them being still young, and you're across the entire country from them. So it's one of those things where, sure, you had the brother there, but it's still not a healthy situation to put all these guys in, especially being so close for so long, and then just kind of saying, all right, we're going here for a couple months, not going to see anyone, but here we go.
I think the most interesting part of the article that kind of flies under the radar is they talk about his investments.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, like it says here that Giannis like negotiated his new Nike contract.
Yep.
He's obviously invested in the Brewers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they founded their own company. You know, they invested in a candy company and a nutritional company and a golf team. And they also have a production company. I didn't think he was like a movie guy, but I guess Giannis has options after he leaves the NBA. He could be like LeBron James, just
Yeah.
get the big screen.
I think there's a documentary that I think he co-produced or was one of the main producers for. There's a place, I think, in Oak Creek, Franklin, that area in Wisconsin, that's like the largest manufacturer of American flags. And I think he was a producer of that documentary, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm guessing that's where like the film part comes in.
And then the other part is obviously Giannis, of course, is like LeBron James, where he's like very frugal with his money. Let's just say that. Good way to be. This is the other quote that Bleacher Report kind of took, and I find very interesting, where he said, he was talking about his fame in his home country of Greece, and he said the following: "The way LeBron James is or Michael Jordan is for the States, the same way I am for Greece," he said, "maybe larger."
Which is crazy, and I 100% believe that.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about Greece, you don't really kind of put things together until Giannis came out of that, and all four of them too. It's almost like him for Luka and Jokic, like their home countries is like that is their person. With the Brewers, there's a lot of guys who come out like baseball, I should say, Dominican Republic, Venezuela. Like I know a lot of people heritage down there, like Miguel Cabrera, like that's their person, and all these Albert Pujols and all these big name guys in these countries. So I totally stand behind that, and I feel like he wants to do a lot of things back where like home is for him.
But the real question is, now I know Giannis he's gaining his traction in the States, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder though if he's reached like international celebrity status yet.
I feel like he has, especially with the Saudi Arabia soccer thing that like a few weeks ago, where like MBOT declines that $1 billion contract, and like a bunch of them were noticing it. And I think that, I don't know the team, but the Saudi Arabia team like sent him a jersey too. I feel like he's gotten to the point where he's getting worldwide. I feel like there's got to be places where like people just have a Giannis shirt, like how they would with like a LeBron jersey or a Jordan jersey. Yeah. He's got to be at that point. And I wouldn't doubt that he is for a good chunk of the world, especially with his brands, Nike, him being a soccer guy too. Like how many people through the soccer world know him because of that. Especially because he was at that Messi game not too long ago. I remember he hit the suey on him.
That one surprised me. Yeah, Giannis does kind of strike me as a soccer guy.
But yeah, I know his dad was a professional soccer player, and he almost like wanted to do soccer like over basketball too. But I think the soccer world, I feel like, knows him, so he's got to be big name status, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah. The only disturbing part of this article was this part down below where he says he has noticed people filming his children in their stroller and at a birthday party. He wants the show to be able to decide whether they want to live lives of the public. On social media, he typically covers their faces. Now this is a problem with people. Okay, first of all, it's creep. Like I don't think people understand when they're like being creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why? Like when you see Giannis's kids, why is the first? Can't people just be normal?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I want a picture of them too. It's like
They're
Yeah,
out and about, and their kids are like less than 5 years old. That's weird. That's weird to just stick a camera phone in like a little kid's like a baby's face. Like they're not aware.
Of what's going on.
Like, see, this is the problem I have with Giannis. It's just, well, not even Giannis, but the fans of Giannis. It's just that's psychotic behavior.
Yeah, if you don't follow on social media, he will post a picture. If it's with his kids, he'll put like the sunglasses emoji on their face to cover their eyes. Because I'm sure he wants to like celebrate with his kids and like show like their life goals, achievements, and stuff with like basketball and like him being at the stadium. But yeah, he covers up their faces, whether it's the whole face or just the sunglasses. But it's totally understandable because the Milwaukee area, he's kind of hard to go unnoticed, especially being such an iconic person. Again, he used to shop where I grew up, just because it was like the closest grocery shops to him. So again, super hard to unnotice a 6'11" guy walking through. But yeah, it's kind of weird when you get into put the kids into that situation because it's not needed.
Like, honestly, it's just and it's so baffling because like I know it's so easy to say, but like, you know, if they're like, it just feels like people have never found how to like act in front of professional athletes. It's so weird. It's so weird that the fact that people think, oh, well, there's Giannis's kids. All right, well, I'm gonna like film them in their stroller, like they're in their strollers. Like, why would you do that?
It's gotten to the point where like that's just how people like just paparazzi in general. I still understand how paparazzi is like a legal and normal thing that is just kind of like kicked under the rug, but it's not a thing to kind of go around. But I kind of understand his standpoint because you want to celebrate with your family, but you can't because people are weird.
Like, think about the Brewer thing too. There was a long line with the Brewers jersey with just his name on it. Like how weird can, like, I'm sorry, but that's also weird to me. The fact that he wasn't even there, but people just wanted like a cheap like $10 or $15 jersey that you could order online because it had Antetokounmpo's last name on it. It is insane.
Handing those out was wild. People are going crazy for that, and then reselling it like on Facebook Marketplace or eBay for like $200. You're gonna get 2 wears out of that before it shrinks.
Like, why? Who would pay $200 for like a cheap fabric T-shirt?
It was nuts, but a lot of people wanted it because it was Giannis. That was literally it. Like, I have the Giannis, the Brewer bobblehead of Giannis. That was a crazy one too because it's Giannis. It's so much different when it's like an iconic person like that in the state. But I feel like people would rather have a Giannis bobblehead with a Brewer jersey on than like Yelich or someone like on that specific team where you're going to the Packers, you're going to the Bucks, something like that. But it's weird what people do for this stuff, which is kind of weird, but like not a bad thing because it shows like how much people like him in Wisconsin and in Milwaukee in general.
No, I know, but I think there's a difference between liking someone and just like an unhealthy obsession.
Obsession over it, yes.
Like, if you get a tattoo of him, I'm like, well, that's weird.
Yeah, just a face of him on your body. Yep.
Like, I would not like. That's creepy to just get a tattoo of like your favorite player. I get, like, that's just unhealthy. Like that, but that's just me. I would never do it, but I guess if you want to each his own. But you know, whatever. What else? There was some. I actually did have one more thing because I just read this today. I read today. Let's see if I can find the source. It should take me about 2 seconds. So I read today that the Thanasis heavily thought about leaving Milwaukee for New York.
Yes, I did read that too, and yeah, because I don't remember how many podcasts ago we did, but we talked about I mentioned like he had offers from like the big money market teams, which I feel like was again an attempt to try to pursue Giannis after this next season. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird because like if you don't know, the Knicks drafted Giannis the year after Giannis was drafted, so 2014. Barely played there, and then obviously came to Milwaukee after. He kind of bounced around the NBA, back to Greece, and then back to the Bucks. But yeah, it's kind of random because it's like wouldn't have guessed him to just go sign with the Knicks. There's no way he was going to play, or yeah, I don't know. It was kind of odd.
But that's what he wants, though. He said like he like wants to play.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing, and I love Thanasis. Don't get me wrong. He wasn't going to play for the Knicks.
No.
Okay, you were like you're not at the level like no Bucks fan is saying, "Oh, well, Thanasis needs more minutes."
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the minutes he has on the floor. I did trust me. He's in the perfect spot. Like there's a lot of people who don't think he's an NBA player. He's an NBA player. But he's not going to be a guy who gets like 20, 25 minutes a night off the bench. It's not going to happen. He doesn't have the skill set. He can't dribble. Okay. He can play defense. He can rebound, but it's like, he does, and he has hops. It's like, but that's all he provides. He doesn't provide anything to Milwaukee. He's not like, I'm not like nobody's banging the fist on the table being like, oh, Thanasis needs more minutes. He doesn't. He's there. Like, let's be honest here. He's there because he's Giannis's brother.
Mm-hmm.
That's why.
Like he'd be a really good coach. He has the mentality of being a good coach, and I feel like there should be some pursuing of that in his near future. I feel like he could genuinely be, I don't know about head coach. That could take a little bit, but he's got what it takes to be a good bench coach for some of the younger guys coming into the NBA, especially for him having an NBA career and a European EuroLeague career as well. So kind of an own thought, but yeah, I read that today as well.
Yeah, and I looked at another clip. Like, if the Knicks scouts, okay, watch those two clips of him getting just absolutely glassed
right here
by Jaren Jackson Jr. Like, you're gonna
the two possessions.
That's like, I get it. Like, Jaren Jackson Jr., I think he was Defensive Player of the Year last year, wasn't he?
Yep. Brooks snubbed.
But still, he got like that's not a good look for a guy who wants more minutes. That hey, like I'm gonna get glassed by Jaren Jackson Jr. That's not gonna earn you more playing time there, Evan. What was the other one? Oh Jesus. Let's just talk about this. So then there was this rumor with Mark Stein that the Lakers and the Knicks are potential landing spots for Giannis if he leaves Milwaukee.
Yep, I remember reading that I read that every contract, and I always like reading the here we go again, like it's that time of year. That's like Derrick Rose for the last 45 years of him coming to Milwaukee. It's like, yep, all these rumors, but yet it hasn't happened.
Yeah, he just wants clicks. I like Mark Stein, so I don't know why he'd write this, but it's just all you always just don't like the two big market teams together. Well, the Lakers could be interested, or the Knicks could be interested.
Yeah.
Why don't you know what? I'll throw in random teams too. Yeah, and we'll throw in the Orlando Magic and the Charlotte Hornets too. They might be interested in Giannis after he leaves. Like,
everyone would be. Like, realistically, every team would be interested.
Stop. What? Why do they do this every time? Okay, like if he leaves Milwaukee, okay, who knows if LeBron's still playing? Who knows if they still have Anthony Davis? So really, we're gonna throw in 3 max contracts. Is that what we're gonna do?
It just gets annoying because it's so repetitive and it's so annoying every single contract year for any player like that. It's like sometimes it's most of the time it's Giannis, but any of these big name players, it's rumored to the Clippers, the Lakers, the Knicks, and I don't know, one other kind of like medium level team just to kind of like tease them a little bit, like, ooh, maybe the Bulls could get, or like, I don't know. They do it every time, every contract.
They can't even get Donovan. Like the Knicks can't even get Donovan Mitchell. They're gonna get Giannis now. Get out of here.
Yeah, I always forget about their attempt to get Kevin Durant and then Kyrie, hoping they'd get the 1 seed, and then to get Zion, and then none of that worked.
Well, there was talks this offseason that Zion, wanted out of New Orleans. Okay, that obviously didn't come to fruition. And they were talking about, oh well, maybe he could reunite with RJ Barrett in New York. And I'm like, because they were college teammates at Duke, and I'm like, well, I mean, he still has a lot of talent, so that would be a hefty price for him to pay. Probably have to give up. And again, I don't understand why the Knicks just don't give up like one of those first round picks just to like get like a premium level player. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Because now that they're like somewhat competing, they're not going to be fighting for the top 5 seed or top 5 picks as much anymore. But I don't know. It's always odd what the Knicks are doing. The Knicks will nick.
Yeah, and their one premium sign this offseason was Dante DiVincenzo, which isn't like that's not like that shouldn't be like, oh my god, like that's going to be the guy to get us to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen. He's another good player, but he's not going to be like he's not like a game changer. He's not a guy who could change a franchise. Like the Knicks still don't have a guy who is a franchise-changing player.
Yep, and it's the idea of Jalen Brunson, obviously Josh Hart and Dante, but Julius Randle too. But yeah, you gotta branch out. The starting 5 for them is not going to be as elite as 10 other teams. But that's the Knicks.
That's the Knicks. So Evan, you got anything else?
I don't. Again, we'll kind of see how the year pans out with Giannis. We'll probably bring it up at different points this year, but unless it were to happen, but I don't see it happening this season at all like it did in 2020. But fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So next season is going to be the biggest. Next season is going to be even bigger than this season. This season's like, all right, whatever. I understand what you're saying. Next season, I think Giannis has to sign next season.
Yes.
And who knows? Maybe he could decide to retire early if they don't win a championship. I don't know. He's probably not going to, but I'm saying, whatever Giannis decides, hopefully we'll all support him. So, all right. Thank you guys for tuning in to this special edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. And we'll see you when we see you.